Just want to start with the first slide, Bijit sir. So just now we had a beautiful session in which we had a lot of discussion on what to take, what should be the ideal scenario, when do we use what. So some of us have an idea, some of us are doing this for the first time. So why do you think we are trying to look at IDU as one of our learning pedagogies? So why IDU? May I ask the first question to anybody? How does it help a learner? How do you think IDU would help a learner in any which way? How does it help? Yes, Hima?
I really feel learning doesn't happen in compartments. So I think it's breaking those barriers and creating an open space where the learner has a choice to pick up how they want to learn a particular concept and getting the best from all the disciplines. So that's what I feel IDU is all about.
Yes. Anything else?
Anybody? Also, I feel, sorry. May I speak?
Yes, please.
Yes. Also, I feel that when you collaborate with the other subjects, the learning is more fruitful because it's one particular theme that we are touching upon, and then it is being interconnected with other domains as well. So, like Hima said, it cannot be in one compartment. So, when we branch out, it is more fruitful and more successful.
Okay. All right.
It helps the students.
I think to put it in a nutshell, it would be more holistic. So it will help you give a broader perspective, giving all the subjects, bringing all the subjects together.
Yes, very true. Very true. I think, yes, what you said, it's a combination of everything. Yes. And I think learning becomes more meaningful if it is, everything is done in a manner that the child is looking at the same thing, the same theme in the different classes. So the learning becomes more meaningful. So how is it different from the regular teaching delivery? In what way do you think learning is in IDU, through IDU, is any which way different from the regular way that we use?
I think it's an integration of ideas, Depriya ma'am, and also I think helps the students create a new understanding of the subjects.
Okay, can you explain a little more?
Like I said, I know very little about IDU, but with whatever I have heard, I think it is, it is collaborating together and, integrating new ideas. So one person may give one idea, the other person may give another idea. It's like sharing of best practices. I may have a different idea in mind and the other person may have a different idea in mind. So when we put them together, we create something big, which is more meaningful, and it helps us acquire a new understanding, which we may otherwise would not have of a particular subject. So I think in turn, when we collaborate, we get to know about new things.
Yes, very true. Yes, Hima.
Ma'am, I'll just add, after listening to Tamanna, ma'am, I think it highlights the factors of 6 C's: collaborating, communication, critical thinking, all of that. And I'm sure it'll be very exciting. I'll just share, when I joined middle school last year, I thought I'm just teaching English and I shared it with others too. But now I'm really looking forward and I can just open my class doors and others can enter in and we can work together.
Yeah, absolutely. So glad to hear this, Hima. So anybody else? Yes.
Dipopriya ma'am.
Yeah.
तो IDU मुझे ऐसा लगता है, मेरा अपना जो मानना है वो ये है, ये एक माला है, एक गार्लैंड है, उसमें जो हमारे डिफरेंट जो सब्जेक्ट हैं वो मोती हैं और उनके नीचे जैसे एक मोती दूसरे से अटैच होते होते वो पूरी माला बना के सेम IDU का जो पूरा एक मतलब पिक्चर है सामने, वो यही है कि एक दूसरे के साथ कैसे कोऑर्डिनेशन करना है हमें और एक ही माला में पिरोना है सब चीज को.
Okay, very true. Very good. Thank you, Poonam.
I just want to add what Poonam ma'am has said, that it's more of inclusive, not only with the subjects but as well with the students, because we are in an era of inclusive learning, because every student is different and we are understanding the individual differences as well, and then we are making them a part of something, they are together. So I think IDU is also about all these things, and we all are approaching towards inclusive education. So I think I do completely go through this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Neha. Anybody else?
I would like to add something, Devapriya ma'am. I also feel that during the course of IDU, like for example, if you're doing a unit or if you're doing anything together, there will arise a lot of ambiguity. I may not understand something, the other person may not understand something. So I think it helps students overcome this ambiguity during the course of this time. Also, it also like I said that there may be some conflicts also that may arise from time to time, and I think the students it helps them understand the what caused this conflict, and what will be the consequences of this conflict, and how can we act together to solve this conflict.
So, and they have multiple ways to solve it. They have
Yes.
multiple approaches to solve the conflict. I think if I may add on to this. So that approach is something we will try and provide our learners, so that they are able to get into an option, not one option, but multiple options. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am, sorry, yeah, please.
Yes, please, Neha.
मैम मैं एक चीज ये भी जोड़ना चाहूंगी कि एक चीज जो मैंने करते हुए महसूस किया कि जो मेरे क्लास के अलग अलग तरह के बच्चे थे, जो अभी तमन्ना मैम ने बात की, कुछ बच्चों ने नाटक के माध्यम से वो चेंज के कॉन्सेप्ट को पहुंच पा रहे थे, कुछ बच्चों ने जो है वो कविता लिखी, कुछ बच्चों ने सिर्फ ड्रॉ किया, कुछ बच्चों ने गाने लिखे। तो जो मकसद था वो पूरा हो रहा था। द मेन पॉइंट वाज गेटिंग कि बच्चों को वो पहुंचे, वो कैसे पहुंचेगा वो बच्चे अपने आप से डिस्कवर कर ले रहे थे। तो आई थिंक वो जो एक होलिस्टिक या इंक्लूसिव जो भी हम शब्द इस्तेमाल करना चाहें, उसके माध्यम से वो पूरी तरीके से बच्चों को वो पहुंच रहा था जो हम उन तक पहुंचाना चाहते थे। सो दैट वाज आई थिंक ऑल अबाउट IDU.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Sonia.
Yeah, hi Sonia.
I just wanted to say that IDU actually gives it a whole sense. जब हमारे बच्चे बोलते हैं कि like why are we doing this? So maybe that gives a whole sense of okay, this you are doing and this is where all you can also apply that. That application sense also comes in.
Yes, absolutely. And application, I think for the learners, it becomes more simpler and meaningful because they are learning the same unit in multiple ways, in multiple areas. So, their application also becomes more strong and more meaningful. So, coming to the next question, how do you think we can measure what our children have learned? How do we measure?
I'll just share, lifting from what Neha ma'am shared about, there were so many varied ways in which students represented their learning. So if the students are sharing what they learned in so many different ways, we can't have just one specific way in which we measure success in the of the IDU, really. So that would be fine.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dilshin.
Yes. देवप्रिया मैम, जैसे अभी बताया था नेहा हमने ना, वैसे ही मैं साहित्य की बात, अगर इसकी लैंग्वेज की बात कहूँ तो यही था कि जैसे बच्चों ने ना जिसको जो अच्छा लगा उनको किस तरह से जताया। जैसे किसी बच्चे ने तो अपने मतलब ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स से बात करके उनके टाइम में क्या होता था और हमारे टाइम में क्या हो रहा है, अब हर चीज को कैसे बदलाव आया, मतलब पीढ़ी दर पीढ़ी और जनरेशन टू जनरेशन, वो चीज कैसे हर बच्चे अलग, एक बच्चे ने कविता बनाई, बहुत सुंदर कविता बनाई, किसी कॉमिक स्ट्रिप्स बनाए, तो हर एक बच्चे ने आपको प्रेजेंट करने का तरीका बिल्कुल अलग था। तो
So just to add this to the context, for all those who are attending this for the first time, Poonam ma'am is trying to share her experience for the last IDU that we did in the last year, and wherein we tried to do it with students of grade 6, and we took change as our key concept. So Poonam ma'am is trying to talk and explain in terms of her experiences regarding that. Yes, Poonam ma'am, please continue.
सो मैं वही बता रही थी कि हमने बच्चों को किस किस तरह से मेजर किया. तो बेसिकली हमने उनको पूरी स्वच्छंदता दी थी और उन्हें ये कहा था कि किसी भी विधा पे आप काम कर सकते हैं. आप उन्हें 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 हमने प्लेटफॉर्म दिया, बताया कि ये सब है, इसमें से जो आपको अच्छा लगे वो चूज कर लो. तो किसी ने कविता बनाई, किसी ने पॉडकास्ट बनाया, किसी ने इंटरव्यू लिया, किसी ने कहानी बना दी. इतना सुंदर ढंग से उन्होंने परिवर्तन को दर्शाया. किसी ने केवल, जो बच्चे बिल्कुल जो आर्ट में थे, उन्होंने कुछ नहीं लिखा, सिर्फ एक ड्राइंग बनाई अपनी. वो मतलब बहुत ही अमेजिंग था अनुभव, बहुत अमेजिंग.
Absolutely. And I think that is the beauty when the children come into, get an exposure from all the areas and come at one particular process for culmination. I think that was the very, very unique part of it. So we have measured our students in different ways. I know it gives, yes, Vijit sir is writing that it gives the students a different perspectives to a single concept. They're allowing diverse motivations for students to engage with the concept. I think that is something. And again, can we analyze the outcome through the UDL lenses? We have had so many sessions on UDL all these days. So is it possible? Can we try and analyze the outcome? What do you think? Is it possible to analyze this through the UDL lenses?
Of course, ma'am. I think there was presentation, there was engagement, there was action and expression as well, and there were some physical emotions also related to it. So I think the whole thing was absolutely going with the universal design learning, if I may put in that way. Yeah.
I think a rubric can also be created, Debapriya ma'am. I think we can have certain parameters on which we can assess the learning of a child, because I think every child's work is important. Maybe it a poem or a drawing or anything. Each child has a different expression of presenting something, but I think we can have a rubric, which talks about quantity, quality, expression and everything. I think if we have a rubric in place, it can be analyzed, it can be assessed. Yes.
Devapriya ma'am, if I may add, before rubrics, before the assessment rubrics that we share with the children, if we can create a checklist for the child to assess the steps, or just check and keep a note of where the child is and how much is left for him or her to cover. So that will help the child to be in sync with the project or the IDU that we take up. And then assessment is easier both for the teacher and the student as well. So if we can create a checklist, so not a lot of parameters because it gets confusing, minimalist list, but checklist is important, I feel. Thank you.
I think we lost you in between.
No. I'm acha.
Yeah, Sunali, maybe the last.
So I was saying that a checklist with 5 to 6 parameters, if you can have it and share it with the children, it will be easier for the student to assess how much is left for the child to complete and where the child is. And then assessment is easier for the teachers.
Absolutely. And I think many of us have been using that also. We have been doing similar ways
of... I mean, just a suggestion. So when the children are doing IDU projects, we can create a Google form in the form of a checklist, share it with the student. Week-wise, they're going to update, tick, 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 this has been done. That ways we don't have to run after the students and keep sending them mails that this is left. So the teacher just drops in a message and that everyone in the class can see that for example, rule number 1 or Sonali has done 2, she's ticked off 2 things from her checklist, and Mercy has checked off 3 things from her checklist. It's easier.
Absolutely. We could do
It's a
that.
good spirit of
Definitely.
being competitive with each other.
Yes,
Competition
yes.
in a positive manner.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we also had something like a student's handbook, which would give them a day-wise plan of how to move ahead. So, Dilshin, would you like to talk about it?
Yes, so essentially, I was very similar as Sonali ma'am was sharing. I was nodding constantly because this was something we did have. So it was called the process journal, where students could, based on our expected outcomes that we had while planning for each of the subject domains, there were certain questions that students could answer as a self-reflection. Okay, well, was I able to understand this concept at the end of each day? So that was a daily check sort of reflection for them. And then as the process journal progressed, they also had rubrics that they could self assess themselves on. So where am I based on this one specific strand, uh, like what have I achieved, or what have I learned. And this was again for each of the individual domains. But now as I speak, I also think that could have been cross-disciplinary also. So were they able to make those connections across disciplines even when they learned the same concept in two different classes? So yeah, so very similar concept of the process journal.
Absolutely. So I think that was something that really helped the students check themselves as to where they are and move in the right direction. So Bijit sir, if you could take it to the next slide. All right. So this is a picture. I just want you to see this and tell me what comes to your mind when you see this. Anything. It could be anything.
Sorrow.
I was trying to situate it in terms of a time, and it seems like it may have been during the first or the second wave of the COVID pandemic when there was oxygen shortage. So I was just thinking about the time.
Struggle and struggle to live, willingness to live, in fact,
Crisis.
Helplessness.
Loneliness, if I may say so, because he's lonely and nobody is with him.
So crisis, helplessness, then you said, somebody said oxygen.
Oxygen, yes.
Okay.
Sorrow.
Loneliness, ma'am. Ma'am. I think it will come in
struggle.
Yeah,
okay.
Struggle.
Neha Atmaglani.
Atmaglani.
Okay. Struggle, needs, yes. Yeah, poverty.
Anuradha also added a positive element of passion to stay alive.
Very good. Passion to stay alive. Very good.
Anuradha has mentioned that in the chat.
Yes.
Thank you, Noora.
I think, such a strong photograph this one is. And if I just have to look at the basic elements, it tells us about the sort of time, not only just it's a daytime, but also like in history, what time it could be. It informs us that the space, the person is not at home, the person is sitting somewhere. And so that is another information that has been provided. And and the elements, the oxygen cylinder and the person sitting there, that also gives us another information, and that all sort of synthesizes together to give us a feeling and thoughts about this photo, about the situation that the person is in. So yeah, beautiful photograph, ma'am. To choose that.
Hopeful. We can also add hopeful. Maybe he's hopeful that the oxygen cylinder will sail him through. He's hopeful that it will help him stay alive.
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
Debupriya?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so there's a man who is looking at him. Behind his back, there's a man who's looking at him. So this can be something very motivating, looking at him, looking at his passion to live. Probably that's what is inspiring him.
Absolutely. It could be definitely. Thank you for pointing it out. Anything else? I think you have.
If I may, it's so this picture brings back the old memories. I mean, not in a good way, but the failed the basic government's task is to provide basic medical needs. The failure of a government whom we, a party whom we chose. So maybe the person is regretting, why did I choose this party, or why did I vote for this person when I don't even have the basic medical facility. I'm sitting outside with the cylinder, struggling to breathe, hoping to get a bed to survive. So and the other person is lucky that he's able to breathe without a cylinder.
So Nali ma'am, if I may just differ from what you're saying, and it's just an opinion. There's nothing right or wrong over here. But the man who's sitting right here in front of us, he's sitting with such confidence, no, that it doesn't seem that he is regretting anything. I mean, it's just an opinion. It's just an opinion.
Yeah, but maybe the person who's clicking a picture asked him to pose in such a manner that he appears confident in the picture.
Yeah,
So
it
yes.
could be. Absolutely, it could be.
Yes,
sorry,
Nora.
go ahead, Nura ma'am. Sorry, I was just seconding what Sonali felt, because when I saw the picture, the first feeling I had was anger, because it was a feeling first, and then I went back to the time when this was the state that people were in. There were no hospital beds, and we. So again, like Bijit said, the history of what is very a recent past, it's not yet become old enough for us to forget it that easily. So I was just kind of saying that, and then of course my thought went to what the government is like. So pretty much the same thought that Sonali followed, but it was not really about the picture, but about the thoughts and the feelings that got associated with it.
Absolutely, Nora. Thank you so much. I think that plays a very important role. The thoughts that get into it. So moment we have so many different ways in which we saw this, we tried to interpret this picture. There are so many ways in which we tried to look at it. We also tried to look at it in terms of the recent crisis that all of us went through. So, but having said that, we had different angles to look at the same picture. So, Bijit sir, if you can come to the next, please. So let's now try and peel the fruit. Okay. So what do you see when you see an orange? What do you see first? What is the first thing that you see?
The skin of the orange.
The skin of the orange.
How bright it is, how thick it is, how thin it is, if it is spotless or if it has, dots, spots on its color. Yes. Yeah.
The color.
The radiance. Yes.
Yes. The color. That some thought also maybe comes to our mind. Acha, will it be sweet or will it be sour? पता नहीं देख के लग नहीं रहा है, खट्टा होगा लग रहा है. Thought. It could be the color. It could be just the appearance. It could be different ways of looking at the same fruit, right? So then what do? You start peeling the fruit, right? So when you peel it, under the skin, what are the questions or puzzles that you have? What are the questions that you feel that time? That will it be okay? Will it be a thing to have? लग नहीं रहा है ये खाने लायक हो जाएगा अभी. Oh, ये तो ज़्यादा पक्के हुए. I don't think I will be having this. So these are some, so the bigger idea is something that you saw when you had the fruit intact with you. But as you start peeling the fruit, you see the under skin of that, and you are trying to relate to the little smaller ideas, but the overall overarching question still remains the same. Will the orange be sweet? It is all about the orange that time that you are thinking, right? Now, coming to the next part is building explanations. What is this really about? Are we really, is it making sense? Am I having the correct thing? Is it making a connection? Every part, every slice of this fruit maybe having a different viewpoint when I talk of this journey IDU. So IDU, the umbrella is the fruit. And when we start peeling it, we are coming to different areas and we try to make a connection that is very applicable for our students, a connection through different ways. It is through different means, through different areas, through different subjects. It is through by honing their passion. And finally, when we come to the central part of it, capturing the heart is the central idea of the message. So the entire umbrella actually moves around one central idea or a message that we want to build our program on. So this actually helps to guide the exploration of the topic. It is encouraging the learners to peel back the layers to gain a deeper understanding. So slowly, we are trying to get into, and we are trying to give them an in-depth understanding of what it is. Yes. So having said that, while we decide our central idea later, Bijit sir, may I ask you to change the slide? So this is the way in which, in brief, we will try and take an entry into our program. So the interdisciplinary understanding basically rests on key concept, a statement of inquiry, and of course the assessment. So, but it is built on different disciplines. It is under the umbrella of a global, a real world issue that we will be deciding on. And it has various aspects, various concepts to look at. So the related concepts could be your subjects, it could be your content, the way you are doing it. It could be through your approaches to learning skills. We will also have the different areas doing it in a different manner, but everything again under one umbrella, one complete idea of that we would want to take up. So that is where our IDU rests on. Yes, sir. So what do we need to think about here? This is something we will be doing tomorrow. We will be developing the learner profile attributes. We will be getting into the conceptual understanding part. We'll look at the incorporation of the global context. We'll look at a finalization of a real world issue that we would want to take up. And of course, the subject group objectives. So based on these 5 areas, generally we will try and build up a unit plan. And that unit plan is something that we will be following very, very minutely, so that we are able to incorporate it. Okay, all right. So next slide. So now I come to the real part of it. Finalization of the key concepts. So congratulations, grades 6 and 7 teachers sitting here. Together today, we are going to finalize one key concept that we would like to take up for our year grade in the session 22-23. So let us together decide on that. Once we do that, it's going to be easy for us to take up the journey ahead. So may I request all the grade 6 teachers to go through the key concepts that has been listed here, and we can have a brainstorming, we can have a discussion as to why and what we would like to take up. The only thing that I want to say here is that if you could avoid the key concept of change, because we had already done it last year. So maybe it would be a good idea to take up something else. So any volunteers, anybody?
Devapriya ma'am, the English department did discuss yesterday, and we did select a few key concepts. And can we just share the key concepts that we've identified?
Sure.
Just 1 second, ma'am. I'll just open the document.
Yeah, I've just got the document open. So we had identified global contexts that we're interested in were identities and relationships, and fairness and development. And sorry, the key concepts, the 4 key concepts that we talked about was connection, identity, relationships, and perspective. These are 4 that we thought integrated very well with some of our content that we will be exploring.
Others, what do the others have to say?
For maths, we had decided on relationship, and that was the key concept. And
that works for English as well. Sorry, Vijit.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I think that relationship, Vijit sir, if you could add on here. Got down. नीचे से कट गया होगा. Okay, all right. What about the others? What about the others?
Devapriya ma'am, in social science, we discussed about change, of course. But since that's not an option, we are also looking at time, space, and place.
Time, space, and place. Okay. So everybody is free to decide what you would like to take up. But whatever we do, we have to do it together. It's going to be one key concept for the entire year grade, like till the time we are doing this IDU program.
Disha, would you like to, sorry, Devapriya ma'am, please continue.
No, sir, please continue.
So, Disha, if you talk about time, space, and place, what exactly are you trying to? So, can you just elaborate on that? Like, are you going to sort of identify time, space, and place, or is there a relationship between them that you want to take?
Yes, Vijit. Of course, there's a relationship between the 3. So the unit that we're basically looking at is the Stone Age. So how human evolved, how things changed, how there was a constant change with time, with spaces changed, the environment changed, geography changed, how places changed, habitation changed. So all of that.
Right. So
and of course that brings in relationships as well.
So how are they connecting? Are they connecting it to? How are they connecting to their own context? The students. How do you think they will be able to connect?
So of course, since 2020, their life has been a constant change. You know, the only thing that's constant in the last 2 years is change. And their time, with changing time, their spaces have changed from being in school to being at home. Right? The places around them, the environment, everything. So that is one of the perspective we had in mind.
So, in fact, just with what Disha has just shared, I think perspective is also one of the themes that we can narrow down, or we can choose between relationships and perspective, because she's mentioned it already with what she was sharing.
Perspective, right?
Vijit?
Right. And I also think so. I mean, the unit, the mathematical concept that we are looking at is number system, and number system is also about giving them a sort of quantifying the perspective, quantifying the change and relating it. So for example, if we talk about if Stone Age, how the how dates have changed, and how how we are considering BC and AD and all of that, and how that can be framed in a timeline, we can give that perspective to them as well.
I think Hima has also shared something.
If I may add, another thing, I agree with you, Shinali ma'am, for perspective. Another thing, connections also lends in to what I heard for the discussion for math as well as for social science.
Right.
Because we are talking about connections, relationships, and this I picked up from the document only. That's what connection implies. So it goes beautifully in literature, what we had planned yesterday. And here, I think so this can be one of the key concepts if you're looking at, because it will kind of fall beautifully in all the subject domains. So that's one of my proposals.
Yeah, we can totally do that.
So connections is something I think
we can look at.
Everyone is looking at. So can we finalize on connections for year 6 then? For all English, maths and social science teachers, can we finalize on connections for year 6 then? I think it's a beautiful key concept, and you can actually do a lot. You can do a lot with it.
In fact, we can even include the other key concepts when we are taking up connections as the overall theme.
Absolutely. I think it's a very, very well chosen key concept. Thank you, Grace.
We can also bring in the idea of how connections lead to change as well as connectivity.
Yes, absolutely. We can do that. And we will be doing that as and when things, we will be looking at it. All right, so connections for grade 6. Coming to grade 7, what do you think? Science, Hindi and third language.
देवप्रिया मैम, हिंदी में हमने सोचा था 7th के लिए आइडेंटिटी.
All right, okay. आइडेंटिटी क्यों मैम? मतलब क्या सोच के?
एक तो हमारा जो हमारा सिलेबस है उसके अकॉर्डिंग भी हमारी जो पहचान है वो वहां पे उसमें एक है पाठ है, लेसन है हमारे यहाँ खान पान की बदलती, तो उसमें पूरा पहचान से रिलेटेड है पूरा सब कुछ की सारा चेंज से रिलेटेड होते होते वो पहचान पर आता है. तो बच्चे 6 में ऑलरेडी चेंज करके आए हैं, तो अभी यहाँ पर आते आते पहचान उनको पता चल जाएगी कि ये हमारी पहचान है. जैसे हर जगह का एक खाना वहाँ की पहचान होती है, खासियत होती है, तो वो जगह जो है वो उस खाने के नाम से जानी जाती है. जैसे पंजाब का लो तो मक्का की रोटी साग, या आगरा का तो पेठा, तो हर जगह की एक अपनी पहचान है. और खाने से ही नहीं, वो तो खाना तो एक उन्होंने मतलब हम एक पार्ट कह रहे हैं, लेकिन उसके अतिरिक्त भी अगर कोई मनुष्य है, कोई व्यक्ति है, कोई पर्सन है, उसकी आइडेंटिटी क्या है, उसकी पहचान क्या है. हम यहाँ जितने लोग बैठे हैं हमारी सबकी अपनी पहचान है, तो वो उस पहचान से हम हर चीज को जोड़ सकते हैं, बहुत सारी चीजों को जोड़ा जा सकता है.
ओके, थैंक यू पूनम मैम. Okay, what about the others? Naresh sir, Tamanna?
Debapriya ma'am, with the curriculum that we have in grade 7, the best that suited us was change, but since we've already done change, so we thought about connections, culture, time, place, and space.
Okay, but are you trying to look at?
We can do in any of these we can do, because we have whatever chapters we have, whatever situation based that teaching that we are doing, it actually boils down to these 3 related concepts, these concepts.
All right. So Ashu, would you like to add on here? Sonia, Ashu?
Yes, Nirupya ma'am. When we were having discussion in our groups yesterday, and we realized that we talk a lot about systems in our science domain. Systems, when we talk about, is the different interactions of components and how those components fit into the human systems or natural environment or an environment that is built around it. Now, the systems are not just confined to the humans. We also talk about a lot about plants as well, and how their interconnectivity relates to the impact on each other. So systems is something we came down to. Sonia, would you like to add something to it?
Sonia, are you there?
Any other science teacher?
So, taking this, what do you want to come to? Like, what is the thing that we would like to finalize on? Is it connections or is it systems?
Devapriya ma'am, we have nothing in, term 1, which is system, we cannot.
All right. So Ashu, do you think connections could be used to take up, first of all, what are you all planning for the first 3 months?
So definitely when we talk about systems, we are talking not just about plants as a system or human bodies as a system. We are also looking at the interconnectivity and how each component impact the other, functioning of the other, whether it's digestion, circulatory, respiratory, plants as an organ. We also look into a lot into change, but since we have already done change quite a lot in grade 6, and we probably want to give different perspective and learning experience to our learners, so we can also look into connections. So if I look into the science, because science is a lot with respect to the concept building, where as far as grade 7 is concerned, we can very well look into the systems and connection as to narrow it down to, or we can look into change. But change, since we have already done, so I would suggest, I mean, that's our group suggestion, we can look into systems and connection. Rest, whatever everyone decides.
What about systems in that case, since grade 6 is already looking into connections? How would systems be in that case? Because what you are saying, Ashu, in science, you would be taking up the different human systems, right?
Right.
For Hindi, there are different processes that take place in order to have one thing in place. So basically, Hindi is also trying to look at the different areas in order to establish one particular aspect. So Poonam ma'am and all the Hindi teachers here, can we look at systems in that case? Because whatever has to be decided, you will decide it today unanimously, so that later on we do not go back from here and we can build up our thing based on this. Naresh sir, please.
देवप्रिया मैम, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जैसा मैंने आपके साथ डिस्कस किया था, आई हैव अ क्लास एट 12, तो आई लीव इन अ मिनट.
अभी मैं आपसे बात करना चाह रही हूं.
उससे पहले अगर मैं ग्रेड 7 के संस्कृत के सिलेबस की बात करूं, तो वी हैव वेरी फर्स्ट चैप्टर भारतवर्ष, व्हिच टॉक अबाउट डाइवर्सिटी, इंडियन क्लोथिंग सिस्टम, अटायर्स, कल्चर, सोसाइटी, एवरीथिंग, राइट? उसका ज्योग्राफिकल स्ट्रक्चर एंड ऑल. And then we have this chapter called Videsh Yatra Varnanam, which talks about cleanliness, comparison है इंडिया का foreign places के साथ, ठीक है? So the main topic, the main key concept I was thinking about aesthetics, and it could be culture. But जिस तरह से अभी का मतलब जो माहौल चल रहा है different subjects के साथ choose करने में, it can be like identity की हम बात कर सकते हैं, कनेक्शंस पर हम आ सकते हैं. लाइक कनेक्शंस एक ऐसी चीज है जो
कनेक्शन मैं सोच रही थी नरेश सर, इफ वी कुड चूज सम अदर की कॉन्सेप्ट, बिकॉज़ ग्रेड 6 ऑलरेडी ये ले रहा है.
Ma'am, then aesthetics.
Depriya ma'am, culture actually fits in very well with French as well,
Ah.
because we have
I
a
was going
chapter
to
on
say that.
festivals of France.
But
Culture.
Ashu, how would science come into this?
If I look at the curriculum of science, it really it doesn't talk about shared beliefs and interests and values as much as it talks about the connections and systems in place, or it talks about the changes. But since changes, we have already dealt with these students in grade 6, now they're coming to grade 7. I think with respect to the science, we would be more comfortable, and we will do more justice if we look into either systems or connections. So I leave it up to, I would like other members also to just add on to.
Depriya ma'am, just one more thing. Since Poonam ma'am were also teaching grade 7 in Sanskrit, so मैं क्योंकि मुझे अभी class leave करना पड़ेगा, rest Poonam ma'am can also look after Sanskrit. Yeah.
Sure,
Thank
sure.
you.
Sure.
Depriya ma'am, we are quite flexible. The French is quite flexible. Other than systems, I think, like I said, we can work on time, place, we can work on change and relationships, culture, connections, identities and relationships. We can work on anything and any of these. So we are quite flexible that way.
Okay, so I think that here this is something that we would like to discuss again. Maybe you take the time today, because year 7 is either talking of connections or systems. If there is an option, Ashu ma'am, Dilsheen, if you all can look into the science curriculum once again and let us know tomorrow as to which key concept would be the best suited for you. And along with that, if Hindi and third language also can look into their kind of structure and let us know what we could, then in that case, tomorrow we can finalize for grade 7. I somehow feel, since all the teachers are not here today, it might not be a good idea to come down to the finalized key concept. But Dilshin, you have something to say.
Yeah, I was just looking at, even if we have connections, as Ashruma was sharing earlier, we can also look at connections for sure, because we look at body systems, but then we look at 3 major body systems for humans, and then we look at how the functioning of them does not happen in silos and how it is interconnected. So connections is definitely one of the things that we do explore, and we sort of try to build that within science this year with grade 7. So it would be wonderful to do that interdisciplinary.
All right. Okay. So if there is any other perspective to this, you may let me know tomorrow. Sure. Otherwise, as of now, we look at systems and connections, and let us see. We will finalize it tomorrow because we do not have much time. I will quickly take you through the Bijit sir, the next slide, please. So I will not go through the entire thing because there is no time today. Maybe tomorrow I'll take you through this as to how the last year's IDU proceeded, how the unit plan was made, what kind of hook was used, what was the kind of process journal that was made, and what was the culmination that happened. So tomorrow I will take you through that. Sir, the next one, just wanted to leave you with this setting of rules. I think this is something that we all need to be on the same page. Here, let us all be on the same level together. Let us be, first of all, convinced of what we are doing. Let's not falter there. Everything else will fall into place once we are convinced about what we do. And let us speak up, let's ask questions, and let's learn from each other. There's nothing right or wrong here. And let's try to be present for most of the sessions, as that helps in making our learning pedagogy stronger. And we will be trying to maintain our uniformity across the cohorts. So I think that's it from my end. If there is any other question, I would be happy to answer. Otherwise, we will meet again tomorrow at 9 o'clock, wherein whatever question you have, whatever you have to ask, you are free to do. So any questions so far?
Ma'am, I have a thought based on what Hima ma'am shared on the chat. On like she defined form for us is the shape and underlying structure of an entity or a piece of work and organization. I'm just reading it out loud. And essential nature and external appearance. So I was also thinking if that could be used and if that could encompass elements of identity which the Hindi department wants to bring along. So I was just thinking on those lines. So that could be something we can live with.
Absolutely, absolutely. We could. Thank you, Hima. Thanks, Dilshin. I think that's a very interesting way to look at. So maybe we can look at it. Maybe today you can take the time, science, Hindi, and third language. Just see if it can happen. I would like you to come tomorrow with some ideas on this so that we can finalize it. And otherwise, thank you, everyone. Thank you. I hope I could make something sense in it, in whatever we are discussing today. And we hope to have a wonderful journey with you all for the next few months. Thank you.
Divya ma'am, I noticed your slides had links to the unit plan, etc. Can you please share that with us if you could share the slides?
Do I share it tomorrow? Because I wanted to show it with you all, like how it looked and how it went. Many people would be having it, but I can share it tomorrow also, not a problem.
After the session, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
देवप्रिया मैम के लिए
Thank you, ma'am. Bye bye.